Spurs playing tonight, winding up that long Rodeo Road Trip, which might very well be coming to an end here pretty soon, next couple of years, if they get a new Frost Bank Center built. They might not have to travel all of February, as we can have Spurs and the rodeo together, maybe at some point in the future. But as we sit now, the what was the coming together, back in the day, the guys would gather around and pack a bag and leave for the month of February, come back ready to go win a title. That's no longer the case. We're hoping to win one of these road trip games against the Timberwolves. It won't be easy. That's a team that's really, really good. So, Coach Pop yesterday was sitting with Coach K, and we're going to get to some sound from him. But the weekend's basketball games were so exemplified where the Spurs are today, because as Wemby continues to improve, and I heard Joe in his promo, RJ, talking about today on the show, they're going to talk about not only is Wemby just about a lock as Kendrick Perkins, he's about to join us. We got some sound from him. Says he's locked, and he's right as the rookie of the year. This dude is headed toward all NBA play.
What we're seeing is incalculable, right? I mean, this is we've found the new frontier, right? That this is uncharted territory, new land that Wemby's kind of conquering, and that's really exciting. And I agree. I think that there's definitely some defensive hardware in Wemby's future. I think it's really hard to make any argument for him this season. As silly as it is to say, it always boils down to the obtuse nature of, well, his team has 11 wins, right? And so it's really hard to kind of, outside of Rookie of the Year, which I think you're allowed to apply extenuating circumstances to. You can't really do that with any other award. He's a marvel. I mean, I don't even know what the best element of his game is. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you can make an argument that it is his defensive prowess, but it's really difficult to ignore how efficient he is on the offensive side of the floor as well. Maybe his three-point shooting kind of weighs that down. And so
even that recently has been on the uptick. Right. Even that he's shoot over the last several games, he's upwards of 40%. So I put it to you, go if you want to encompass the entirety of the Spurs season, go watch the first 8 minutes, not even 8 minutes, 5 minutes of the Laker game on Friday night, because you'll get all the greatness that is Wemby, the block shots, the open court dribbles, the passing, the no-looks, the bounces, the alley-oops. You get it all in about 4 or 5 minutes, everything that he is capable of bringing. And at the same time, you watch the other 4 Keystone Cops, I don't know what you want to call them, just stumble and bumble around. I'm so sick of watching turnover after turnover. And Wemby's a problem with this too. But I will allow that. Keldon got to sit and watch most of Utah on Sunday night. Keldon got the quick hook for things that occurred on Friday night and things that occurred quickly again on Sunday. Kendrick Perkins was on NBA Today. And I like Kendrick because there's no filter with Kendrick. If he doesn't like it, he tells you.
Stephen A., Shannon, Molly, we could go play alongside Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs and still have the same record. I mean, damn. If you look at this kid Sohan and what he's been doing out there on the floor, it's been an embarrassment, to be honest with you. And you can see the frustration all over Victor Wembanyama's face.
That is Kendrick Perkins on the Stephen A. Yesterday, I believe. He's right. I don't know about the anger and the frustration, but he's surrounded by, what's that song? Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right.
I guess.
Here I am, stuck in the middle again.
I mean, it's one thing, to be bad, but it's another thing to put any human being in a situation where the only context they can apply is, I mean, damn. I mean, like
exactly. I mean, damn.
That's the only thing that you can say about this. And we've been saying this for a while now. I am not and have not really ever been mad at Jeremy, and I know you're a Blake stan, at Chetty, even at Devin, after the New Orleans loss. I'm not mad at them. This isn't their fault. But it's actually kind of, and I'll put Devin in his own special kind of area because he is emerging as a proper Robin for the future, at least, the immediate future. this is cruel. Like, it's actually mean to put all these players in this situation because it's the disparity, the gap is so obvious. You know what I mean? It's so obvious that people like Kendrick Perkins, who have to talk about this, have to say this. They have to speak these uncomfortable truths. I mean, you're setting this entire roster up to look like yahoos because that's what they are compared to Wemby. And it's a really unfair position to put everybody involved in. And I will credit Wemby, as young as he is, for not having any kind of outburst, because when I was that age, I was a lot more immature than he certainly seems to be. And I think a lot of people, at that age would definitely be a lot more selfish about what they're experiencing. And maybe he is in his own circle. And if so, that's totally healthy and totally normal. But this is just such a disaster in the way it's all unfolded. I mean, nothing about this is redeemable in my mind in terms of the process of how we got here.
A couple things from the weekend. Devin Vassell is still on a tear. Devin's hitting shots. I mean,
Robin.
And some of it very much is. But what they combined for the other night, it was like nearly 50 between the two. I mean,
I think Devin had 27 and maybe 22. So you're really close.
Yeah, right there. So that's kind of what you're chasing. But Devin, I get that he is he's under a lot of pressure to ensure that Wemby is the guy. And I can tell that he's trying to be that guy, to make sure that when Wemby flashes and he's in the paint, that very first 2 passes of most of the plays they run, where they try to see if they can get a quick pin down for Wemby. And Wemby will come down and flash the paint. Normally the ball will have swung. If there's nobody coming, the idea is to get him fast, get the ball to him fast. I forget, it's not floppy, but for those of you who really study the plays, there's an entry that they seem to do in a lot of plays. Just a real quick Wemby look. If he flashes and he's open, get him the ball. Devin normally is the internal passer on that play and is always late. Always late. So they missed that first flash every time. Even if he's open or not, Devin can't put his hands around it, can't find the entry. It's being defended. So then we're having to throw 2 more passes to find somebody that's open or that is at least willing to take an adequate shot. And by that time, it'll dribble off Sohan's foot. Keldon will be, Keldon's not even in there anymore. Champagne will be standing over in the corner and they'll go like, well, you're the last option, Cat, so we'll wait on you. And then there's a turnover. So I'm done with everybody. Keldon, I think they're done with Keldon. Post game on Sunday, no pop, but Mitch.
Cougs is asking in the chat, in the Brigade Bar, for your thoughts, because you weren't here on Monday, on Keldon getting benched after 4 minutes.
Well, I couldn't tell. I was watching the game with my fam, and we all looked at each other. Is Keldon sick? Is he hurt? Well, post game, Pop wasn't speaking. I don't know if he didn't feel well or what, but Coach Johnson did.
Just repetitive mistakes. Sometimes you need to change up the messaging or change up the accountability or how you do things, and Pop's the best at it.
So Keldon got ripped. He got the hook. He sat and watched and deserved it.
No, you're way off base here. Maybe not way off base, but you're mostly off base. You're like about to steal. Like that's how minuscule amount of your body's touching the base. All right. I acknowledge that Keldon was in the wrong, right? In a court of law, I'm fine with, admonishing Keldon. But to act so high and mighty, like, oh, we're going to yank you after 4 minutes and you're not going to see the floor the rest of the night. Get the hell out of here. Like, relax.
Why?
Dude, you got 11 wins. You're a joke. And now you want to take things seriously.
At least now he's doing something.
No, but we've been watching sloppy basketball all season long. And all of a sudden on a random Sunday in Utah, enough was enough. You know what I mean? Like, if this had been who you were, if you were this militant style team all throughout this entire season where somebody took one toe out of line and you came down on him and you yanked him and you pulled him, whatever, fine. At least you're being the same person from, start to finish. But this came out of nowhere. I mean, and I don't necessarily mean Keldon's play. Nobody's going to defend Keldon right now. That's separate from the point. But they used Keldon as a scapegoat or as an example to see, we'll do it. You go out, you piss us off, we'll totally pull you. I mean, like,
well, who better?
It was such a joke. It's such a hollow thing. Like nobody thinks like, remember when you were growing up and somebody would get in trouble in your class, and the teacher would be like, and like the hair on your arms would stand up, be like, oh god,
Right, here it goes.
Yeah, I'm glad that's not me. You know what I mean? Nobody thought that. Nobody was like, oh no, Keldon got, oh man, I better straighten up. I better run the secret plays that we installed after the All-Star break, because if not, I could totally get yanked and not be a part of our 12th win here in the final week of February. There's really some serious repercussions that are going to fall all over me. Chill out. Come back to us. I mean, this was such a weakly, arrogant thing to do as a franchise.
I'm of the better late than never. Bench them all, man. I don't want to win a
that's
game.
What I'm saying. Like being pissed off at Keldon Johnson isn't fair to Keldon. That's who you. This is your design. You know what I mean? Like you can't like buy poor groceries and then be like, this meal stinks that I prepared. That was your fault. Like you're the person who did everything involved here.
At least he's deciding to leave one or two of the ingredients out periodically. And I do think a message was sent, and it might be way overdue. Hey, Keldon got benched, man. He got fully yanked, and it was evident, it was apparent, and everybody knew it.
Do you think anybody is even 1% more afraid of anything as a result of that? No.
Well, I do think that Malachi Brenham is seeing an opportunity to get some minutes, because as McBucket has gone, Malachi's gotten some more, and I will say he's kind of playing himself out of the doghouse. And if he continues to play like that, then suddenly maybe he can eat into some of those Keldon minutes that we have to have. Did you see the dunk that Malachi had on LeBron the other night? Yowza, man. So I think there's some benefit, and I don't think Keldon would have been benched, but for Malachi playing a little bit better. And we know that Blake, not that they're playing the same position, but some of these bench guys are playing better. On the other side of stuff, let's talk about who's not. Zach Collins. Holy smokes, dude. Bring your light shoes. It looked like he was running around in combat boots in Utah. That guy looked exhausted.
Steel toes. It's also pointless. You know what I mean? Like we're splitting hairs on Zach Collins and Keldon Johnson. I mean, how many of these dudes are going to be here next year? You know, and I say that as respectfully as possible, right? You know, and that's we're at the point of frustration and in the middle of this rut that now we're just, you know, turning to anybody. You know what I mean? Anybody within arm's reach is capable of being the fall guy for it all. And we're just going to get mad at any single person that just even looks at us the wrong way, or that we just feel an inkling of frustration towards. And so, okay, cool. You're right. He was slow. What else? I mean, like, what else could that really hurt? That was the difference. You know what I mean? Like,
you're right. It wasn't the difference, but he just really has seemed, as the season has gone on, that his frame,
was your guy for a little while.
His style does not match the kind of offense that Pop wants to run. He is not the guy. He might have been before Wemby got here, but it just doesn't. It feels like everything changes as soon as Zach comes in here, and it's not for lack of effort. I think he's trying. It's just the system ain't going to match up very well. Tonight they head into Minneapolis to take on, what are they, 40-17, the Timberwolves.
They're tied for the best record in the West, and they have a score to settle based on the last time that we played them.
Yes, they do. That's the last time I remember good things happening for the Spurs. Before I forget, those Utah purple unis the other night looked pretty good, didn't they?
I told Joe this. Did you see Jeff McDonald's tweet about the name of the Wi-Fi at the? I think it's the Delta Center.
It is. Well, it was. I don't know what they call it now, but
but Jeff's tweet said Delta. So I mean, I don't
it might
know
still be the Delta Center. It used to be the Salt Palace, now Delta Center. What is it?
But do you know what the name of the Wi-Fi is there?
Stockton sucks. What? I don't know.
It's Jordan pushed off. So yeah, that was really, really funny.
That's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so good for them. But you're right, the purple unis are sick, and I don't know why we ruin great uniforms and great logos. Ryan sent a tweet this morning. Biggest NBA team logo downgrades. Did you see the Clippers' new uniforms?
You know, there's I read a great article yesterday on the rebranding of the Clippers.
Yeah, it was all about like what even is a Clipper and everything. Yeah,
it's a ship, right? I know it's a ship, but they started out in San Diego, and as Ballmer is building a new building and bringing the Clippers into their own particular era there in Los Angeles, the rebranding of the Clippers. It's a very interesting story to read as they pick out new logos and all the things that go into building a team. The Timberwolves themselves have their own MVP candidate, and while he doesn't have the he's the old school dominant big guard, just going to go get buckets. 26 a game. He's shooting 47% from three, or 37% for 38% from three, 40% from the field. Anthony Edwards is indeed everything that you're looking for in the modern big guard. Spurs have absolutely nothing like that. We got nothing that even begins to even compete with what Anthony Edwards does. But we do have a Rudy Gobert-esque guy. That Rudy's been hurt. I don't know if he's going to play tonight, but there is a little bit of that, that French mentor-mentee kind of stuff going on. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with Keldon. He only got 4 minutes the other night. We just talked about him getting yanked, and Coach Johnson postgame was a little upset with repeated efforts to get him to do something that he evidently did not.
I mean, what a joke.
It'll be the fourth. It'll be the last time we see the Timberwolves this year.
I mean, thank goodness the Rodeo Road Trip is over. Not that, we expected more, but I mean, because they're not going to win tonight. But you agree?
Well, we played well against them. They're,
okay.
There's nothing that has shown me over the last couple of games that they can string together anything more than about 4 or 5 minutes of really good basketball. So no, I don't expect them to do it. But a lot of times this is Minnesota on a Tuesday night. This is the kind of game that anybody who's been watching film on the Spurs ain't going to be coming in ready to just lay one down. They're not scared of them by any stretch. So now you rely on the doldrums of February.
The Spurs are the second biggest underdogs of the day across the NBA slate. The Hornets are 14.5-point favorites in Milwaukee. Meanwhile, the Spurs are underdogs. The Spurs are 13-point dogs. One
of the great things about watching us live is you can talk to us directly, whether you want to call us at 656-3776, 656-ESPN, or you can text us at that number. You can get on the scroll at our YouTube feed. And Esteban Ramon types, should we have traded Keldon while his value was high? His value is no lower today than it was before he got benched. Keldon Johnson is exactly who Keldon Johnson is. And whether he gets benched or whether he gets moved around, it isn't. Film don't lie. And if he gets benched, we're suddenly not lessening his value. Every NBA GM understands that it takes a player and a coach and a team and the melding of everything to work out. And Keldon is exactly who Keldon was when he signed the extension. The problem is, I think that's what Keldon was when he signed the extension. I think he is a happy guy to have completed a good run. I mean, his whole goal since he was a sophomore to sign in high school was to sign the second NBA deal, to go get the tens of millions, and he's done it, and he's playing like it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pride in that, certainly.
Success, but not for us.
Cougs asked in the Brigade Bar, we've won more. You mentioned like you could ask questions or things like that. Cougs said we've won more on the road than at home, right? Rob, I have I've tabulated the numbers of the Spurs' grand total of 11 wins this season. How many do you believe have occurred on the road?
4.
That's your official guess?
I thought it was less, but I must be wrong. I thought it was 4.
Consider me Regis. Final answer?
It is my final answer.
6.
6
of the 11 wins have been on the road. 5 times this season, the Spurs have won at home. That's just so sad. I mean, it's just like, I knew that to be true, but it's just so sad.
And it's so funny that when you see the legendary coaches sit down, there's a podcast yesterday, Coach Popovich sat down with Coach Krzyzewski. It's called the By a Vowel podcast. No, I don't know what the name of the podcast is, but Pop has had to completely recalibrate what he was saying at the beginning of the year to what he's saying now are two entire. This is what he was saying last year without Wemby. Now we're back to it. Listen to what Pop said about the process of getting Wemby up to NBA speed, because like everybody else, he's never seen anything like this.
We came to the conclusion that the process in the beginning would be no process. Then we just watch him play and try to figure out what's his abilities and what's his natural positions on the floor where he feels most comfortable, and where does he need improvement.
Coach Pop yesterday talking with Coach because patience and we preach patience, but do we think what after all these games do we know about Wemby? That, as Pop says, we're just going to watch him play and we're going to figure out what he's really good at. Do we know that yet? Do you have an idea?
I mean,
I'm not being facetious. Have you seen something you go, you know what? We need to do more of this.
This is a generality, but I think the ball needs to be in his hands. Like you know what I mean? The ball, this isn't like a learned thing, but everything needs to flow through him, which is why we were pissed when it wasn't, earlier this season. And what a surprise that, flowing through him makes things a lot better and more competitive. And so, I mean, if the purpose of the season, and I am in no way trying to doubt Pop, and I know that this is one statement, but if the purpose of the season was let's watch him play basketball and see how good he is, that kind of feels like a really ridiculous way to go about this.
It is massive cop-out. Are you kidding me? Our process is no process. I got no plans. We're just going to go out and wing it. You know what? And on top of just having no plans, I'm going to go take a guy who's not good at anything particular in Jeremy Sohan and make him a point guard. Because we found out last year he can't shoot, but he made up with it with his inability to figure out how to dribble and get to the lane, get into the rim. So we're going to make him a point guard, and we'll see. We're just going to watch things as they shake out.
Did you watch the Barbie movie, Rob?
I hate to say I have not seen the Barbie.
It's really good. But there's a point in the movie where Ken wants to go perform surgery, and in his Ken brain, he says, "Well, just talk to whoever you need to. So let me try." And that's kind of like I feel about what Pop said. Like, let me just try some surgery. You know what I mean? Let me see what I'm good at. Maybe I'm a heart surgeon. Maybe I'm, maybe I'm maybe I'm more of a teeth guy. You know what I mean? But let me just try some. Let me cut something up and sew some stitches and let me see what surgery I'm good at. That makes sense. That's the way we should go about it.